Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast, it's the Darkest Timeline podcast. You got me for the day, which is an interesting one this time because I talk about some stuff that I did that I wasn't really proud of. That could be all sorts of stuff. That could be everything. But in this one, there's a couple of key things. So, yeah. Humble pie on the menu today. Before we get started, you could take 2 seconds to like, share and subscribe. You could leave us a review of the podcast or any of our podcasts and just generally share the podcast around. Send it to your people. Send it to your friends, your family, friends of family, everybody. Anyway, let's get started. Here we go. This is CookieCast, the Darkest Timeline podcast. Hello. Oh. Works first time. Unusual. Amount of technical issues I've been having recently. That is a surprise. Anyway, let's get cracking because she's a big one. She's big. Which no doubt means we'll be done in 30 minutes and I'll be like, well, that wasn't what I thought it was going to be. So, I've got kind of a bit of making up to do. Something happened. Something happened a week ago, and I didn't talk about it this time last week. And I think I had to process it is part of it. And I also don't feel proud about it. So there's that. There's a bit of embarrassment. It's a bit of that's not good. It's a bit, all of these things mixed together. And as the week went on and certain sorts of things subsided, I was a bit like, should have probably mentioned it. I had an incident in a car park a week ago. And like I say, I'm not proud. One of those situations, it was a combination of like a couple of things that were kind of like, I don't want to use this word in this way, but like a couple of things that kind of triggered me. I wasn't sure if I was being, you see these people who are getting these like, it's kind of like insurance scammed and all this sort of stuff. Anyway, I'll tell you what happened, and then I'll talk about sort of. So I'm in a car park. As you may have gathered, I was in a car park last week, and I was looking for a parking space, but it wasn't like one of those, oh, there's no spaces. It was lunchtime on a Monday, so, and the car park I was in was massive, and one of the places that's at this car park, one of the stores isn't even open anymore, so there's even more car parking spaces. I wasn't looking for a space like that. I was looking for a space as in I was looking for somewhere to park. And I made a turn to come out of one of the car park lanes, and all I was going to do was make the next right turn, find the first space, pull in and wait. I wasn't even parking, I was just going to wait. As I came out of the first lane and made the turn, there was a zebra crossing, and because of like the angle I'd come out, as I'd basically level, like gone straight, I was already in the zebra crossing, and didn't think anything of it. because the direction I was going, there's nobody's parking down there, there's no people down there, none of that. Admittedly, there was a zebra crossing, but it didn't matter because there was nobody there. Or so I thought. So as I'm halfway through the zebra crossing, bearing in mind, if you think about like when you're sat in a car, you've got the front bumper, the bonnet, the windscreen, then certain cars that can be like, 6 foot. So if I'm sat in the zebra crossing, 6 foot of the car is already in the zebra crossing. So there's nobody there. And then a man appeared out of thin air. Now, there's a couple of things here. One is there's a hedge to consider, and this man wasn't very tall. So essentially, he was behind the hedge, and he just kind of like, it was almost like he jumped out. Now, this surprised me, but I was like, you weren't waiting to cross, I know that for a fact. You just appeared from behind this hedge, and you're now waiting to cross. I'm already halfway through the zebra crossing. Job done. I'll just carry on, and I'll go and find somewhere to park. But it surprised me in the way that I was like, I didn't even see there was anyone there, because there wasn't. So, doing what I considered to be the right thing, I stuck my hand up and I said, stuck my hand up to do the, oh, sorry, didn't see you, and carried on. In my head, that should have been the end of it. But it wasn't. So as I continued, the magical appearing man decided, I've got a great idea. I'm going to take offence at this situation. I'm going to hit your car. Which is what I did. Back left side of the car. Now, here's where the factors come into it. As we know, for the last few weeks, I've not been in the best place, mental health stuff. I've been, wandering around in this sort of fog. And admittedly, and this is one of those situations, I'll hold my hand up, I've been quick to anger. Another situation to take into account was that my son, my baby, is in the car seat, in the back of the car, asleep, pretty much exactly where this guy has hit the car. Now that is not a great combination. The third thing to take into account is what I said. This guy wasn't waiting to cross. It wasn't like he was waiting at the crossing and I drove up and went, screw you, pal, I'm driving a car here and I'm going to drive through that crossing. That is not what happened. He was not waiting to cross. If he had been, I'd have stopped and I'd have let him cross. Once I saw him and acknowledged him, I apologised, which I didn't need to do because he wasn't waiting to cross. So you add all those factors together and hence there was an incident. And the incident was this. I stopped the car, I put it in park, and I got out. And there was an exchange. Now, did I fly off the handle? Absolutely did. Like I said, combination of things, and I was not having that. Here's where things got weird. The guy looked like he'd been dragged through a hedge backwards and then thrown through a wood chipper. Was wearing a mask, but wasn't wearing a mask, had it under his chin, and we were outside. And I'm pretty sure, from the way he was talking and the way he was acting, that I know I said it was lunchtime, but I don't think it was quite lunchtime. So, whatever time on a Monday morning, pretty sure he was pissed because of the way he was speaking. And I was like, okay, this is not a situation I want to be a part of, because at this point in time, what starts trickling into my rage-fueled, anger-fueled brain is, this could be one of those insurance scams that you hear about where people jump out in front of cars and then expect to get to be able to claim on people's insurance and stuff like that. And I was like, I just don't want any part of this. This guy jumped out from behind a hedge and struck the vehicle. All it's going to take is for him to tell a different version of that story. And next thing, it's, oh, you ran a guy over on a zebra crossing. I was like, I don't need to have any part of this. I got back in the car. I drove down. Like I said, I was attempting to park up. I drove down. I pulled up. I parked. And then I had to go through this whole situation of going, what just happened? Now, like I said, I'll tell you what happened and then I'll tell you the rest. As far as the rest is concerned, there was something weird about the situation. The guy wasn't there and then he jumped out of nowhere from behind a hedge. Should there be a hedge next to a zebra crossing? Probably not. But anyway. Is there a possibility that I was distracted because I was in the process of looking for a parking space? Yes. But there was nobody waiting at the zebra crossing. And the guy didn't make himself materialise out of thin air until I was essentially halfway through the zebra crossing. Bear in mind, this guy tried to tell me that I almost ran him over. Absolutely didn't, unless he was planning on walking through the back half of the car. It was a very strange situation. From my perspective, not my crowning moment. You know, I'm complaining to you guys that, you know, I've got a baby in the car. Didn't stop me getting out of the car to have a go at this guy. Which, you know, again, not a crowning moment in my life. But I have sort of walked away from this situation and looked at it and gone, none of that situation was good from any side of it. I do wonder if there was something going on and whether the situation changed as it went on. Like maybe he was trying to scam me and maybe decided against it. I don't know. But I did have to look at the way I dealt with it. And I did have to look at the fact that I didn't talk about it last Monday when it actually happened and would have been a talking point as far as this podcast. So I'm trying to make up for that now by talking about it now. No part of me feels good about the situation. The only thing that I can take away from it was whether I was in the right or the wrong. I didn't act the right way. And part of me wants to say I should have just left it, I should have just carried on driving, but I don't think even on my best day I could have done that. So I've had to look at it and think, what exactly would I have done on a better day if I wasn't in the headspace that I was in at that point in time? So there you go. There you go. Jam-packed episode with all manner of things for me to complain about. I've got this school app. As you will no doubt guess, it's a constant source of annoyance in my house. In a lot of ways, it's great. It gives me the opportunity to see what my children are doing at school. In a lot of ways, it makes me want to throw my phone against the wall. Some of those reasons I'm not going to go into right now. Some of them I am. Like absolutely everything out in the world today, the phone app has started turning into, hey, we want to sell you something. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but I feel that this is massively unethical. I think it's really bad because it does hey, your child did this. Like, cool. Like, do you want to find out more information about that? Do you want to be a good parent? Because if you do want to be a good parent, you should give us money. That's literally how it's sold. It's your child did this. Do you want to know what they got that award for, that point for? If so, give us money. And you know how often this happens? It's about every 4 seconds. That absolutely is an exaggeration, but it's constant. Every day, more than once a day, I'll get a notification from the app that says something along the lines of, your child got a point. Find out why. And the find out why bit is the money. They want the money. And I feel that I feel it's hugely unethical to use something like your child's education as a way to try and bleed money out of you. I understand that there are all these other things and there are all these other ways, that there are all these other companies that just want your money. I get that. And I think as a society, it's kind of become one of those accepted things. But not when it comes to like school stuff. It kind of feels like that should be kind of sacred in a sense. You shouldn't be able to be profiting off children going to school. I don't know. Is it just me that feels that way, or is that like a standard kind of thing? It infuriates me, annoys me, it drives me up the wall. I wish there was a way that I could turn it off. I wish there was a way I could just say, you're never going to get the money from me. Stop it. Like an opt-out. Like some things have if you don't want to receive these silly messages, you can opt out. This doesn't have that luxury, apparently. On this week's edition of People Doing Things in the Gym, we're going to talk about people doing nothing. Three of my favourites this week. Absolute corkers, some of them. Three of my favourites are, there was a girl that came into the gym with a tiny little handbag. Now, I don't want to be a stickler for the rules, but the rules state you're not supposed to bring bags and other things into the gym. So, she proceeded to stand on a treadmill for 5 minutes talking to somebody, then got her phone out of the tiny little bag and put the treadmill on at a snail's crawl whilst just being on her phone the entire time. There was the guy who was on a bench next to me. I had completed 3 exercises, which is 3 lots of 4 times 8. Done 3 exercises in the time that it took this guy to do 2 sets of 6. even if I'm absolutely rattling through my 3 sets of 4x8, still going to be there for a little while. Yep, 2 sets of 6. And today is the absolute cream of the crop. I needed to do bench press, and there's only 2 available benches to do bench press. One was being used by a guy who was absolutely smashing some heavy-weighted bench press. Big props, big up. The other was being taken up by a guy who was wearing a pair of Doc Martens, the boots, not the shoes, some trousers, and a white dress shirt with the sleeves rolled up. He'd also put his bag on the bench and sat on his phone the entire time he was there. Super helpful. It was even more helpful that every single member of staff just seemed to have the ability to be able to ignore him. If anybody's wondering, my gym membership runs out this week. The only person that I will have to contend with in the gym after this week is me, and possibly either my youngest daughter or, what's more likely, the 900 spiders that are in my gym currently. I've just kind of let them have it, as long as they don't. I was about to say as long as they don't go to the treadmill, but they have. Some lovely, lovely water. Recently, there was new development in, I was going to say in the area, but it's not, and that's the point. Tim Hortons has opened a branch in Selby. Woo-hoo. And being the massive Tim Hortons fan that I am, we decided to make a trip over there on opening day to get the goodies. We went to Tim Hortons. We drove there. It was quite a nice, comfortable drive, especially for going to Tim Hortons, because I've done some absolute monsters to go for Tim Hortons previously. Got there, went in. Not a massive queue. Very about it was opening day. Did purchase some donuts. Purchased some coffee of the hot and cold variety, and brought them back. One of those things, as we know, there's been a struggle for me personally with some weight loss issues and the lack of losing weight, and I got to a point where I was like, do you know what? All of this, clean living and exercise. Sometimes it's not for much if you're not losing weight and you can't enjoy yourself every now and then. So I decided to have a couple of days of, hey, if you want to eat a donut, why don't you eat a donut? And we'll come back to that shortly. I kind of thought, I kept saying to people, when I look on the map, it's further away. It's far enough away for it to not be a problem. But when I did the journey, it's not that far away. It's not far enough away for it to not be a problem. It's almost like it's close enough for me to say the phrase, I'm just going to pop out and get a coffee. It's a little too close. It's a little too comfortable. I am scared, but we'll have to see how that one goes. Does anybody remember when I was talking about the update to the running app that I use? And I was like, that is an amazing addition. They've really done well there. That kind of situation. The other day, I went to use my watch to do a run, and when I pressed the icon for the running app, it was like, oh, you need to log in on your phone. like, well, what is the point in having this if I need to log in on my phone? And then it just logged in fine. I was like, what? Didn't think anything of it at the time. It was later in the day when I went, hang on a minute. Has there been an update to the app on the watch? Because I realised the one thing that I've been trying to do was I really wanted to put my frequently used things together. Outdoor run, indoor run, weight training. I wanted them together. Outdoor walk. I wanted them all together. And the app on the watch seemed to have done some kind of update, and it had done that for me. It had bunched all of the, my frequently used, it had put them all together. I'm like, hells yeah. That's what I'm talking about. I have this thing that I absolutely love it when companies and products and other such things just get it right. Because one of my massive pet peeves in life is when things get it wrong. You know the phrase, you had one job? I find there are a lot of things and a lot of times where that situation comes up. It's like you had one job and you couldn't even do that. And this is kind of an example of the opposite. You had a job and your job is to record exercise, but you've looked at it and went, how can we make it easier and how can we make it better and how can we make it more user friendly, and went with that. And then, like I was talking about previously, we had the whole, there was a safety issue and they addressed it and put in a really cool fix. You gotta give top marks and top, props for people, for companies that are going out of their way to do stuff like this. It's I don't know what you'd call it. It's like a better way of doing things. So yeah, big thumbs up on that one. I've been dealing with a weird one recently. I feel super uncomfortable. I'm never normally like this doing a podcast. I feel like I'm getting a dead arm or something. Can you still hear me? It feels like you can't hear me anymore. Maybe I might have to speak up. Well, that'd be awful. I've been dealing with something recently as a parent. 2 of my 4 children. And really, this will sound a bit weird. They're not really speaking to me. One, I think, isn't speaking to me because allegedly she doesn't hear me. Well, I think the actual reason is that she doesn't listen, which, as a parent and a child and all that sort of stuff, anybody would know that. Sometimes your children don't listen to you. But there's been points in the last week where I've had entire days where one of my children, I'll try and keep it as vague as possible, one of my children has just, I've realised at the end of the day, not spoken to me all day. And I don't mean like they're giving me the silent treatment, like if I ask them a question, they just don't answer. And that's the theme of the day. One of my other children is more in the camp of not speaking to me. And I don't know why. And it's not that she's ignoring me. It's not that she's actively not speaking to me. It's like she's avoiding speaking to me, which I kind of put down to, I think she's probably, she's not telling me something, she's not talking to me about something. So obviously I've got one child that doesn't talk, can't talk. So I have to rely on my other child to talk to. I was starting to feel quite lonely at one point. Nobody wanted to talk to me. Which is ironic when you think about the way that I have gone about dealing with a lot of things in life, is to not talk to people about stuff. That's the thing with karma, you see. It always comes back to bite you in the end. Had an amazing trip to the vets. Honestly, oh man, it's gonna make me radgy. So, anybody remember when the dog needed to go to the vets? I certainly do, and so does my bank account. I had to take the cats plural, to the vets. And it had come to my attention that the dog probably needed to go back to the vets because the ear infection that he had previously had returned. In between ear infection 1 and after ear infection 2, I kind of worked out why he was getting these ear infections, but it was too late at this point because, yeah, he had an ear infection. So I was like, right, I've got an idea. I'll ask the vet for a repeat prescription because they prescribed a antibiotic ear drop. Like, I can just get that on a repeat prescription and we can all get out of this one clean. What I didn't take into account was obviously the vet would have missed out on the opportunity to bend me over the table and take a run-up. So when I said to them, can I have a repeat prescription? They're like, oh, hang on there, sir. That sounds like us not getting a massive amount of money out of you. And that's not how we roll. Come on. So they're like, oh, it says here that you should have brought him in after 10 days. It's like, no. You said bring him back after 10 days if it hasn't cleared up, which it did. We're not saying now at this point that it didn't clear up. We're saying at this point that it has reoccurred. There is a difference. All right, okay, I'll sort you a repeat prescription. I was like, sweet, got away with that one. Literally 2 minutes later, Leanne sends me a text message. Oh, the vets have phoned. I'm like, I'm literally sat in the waiting room. Why have they phoned? They need to see the dog. I've just been through this with them. They don't need to see the dog. They just need to give a repeat prescription. They say they need to see the dog. I was like, this is ridiculous. So I got the cat sorted, got the cat seen to. And then I went to pay for that, which I don't want to be that guy, but the cats need vaccinations, and those vaccinations were previously one price. It was a standard price. It's going to cost this much. It's £11 more expensive now. Inflation, maybe, or just the vet was closed during that pesky pandemic. So, guess who's getting the benefit of that saving? Anyway, I said, "Hi, I've just spoken to somebody, a different somebody, about a repeat prescription, and apparently you've called my partner and told her that you need to see the dog, even though I've already been through this." Oh, yeah, we needed to see the dog after 10 days. I was like, you didn't. So I explained again. So this is how it went. Oh, it's a medication checkup. It's not a consultation. Now, in layman's terms, what that means is we just need to have a look. We're not going to charge you consultation prices. We're just going to have a look, and then we're going to give you the repeat prescription. So that's what I heard. I heard it's not going to cost you any more money than the prescription itself. So I said, fine, whatever, I'll bring the dog. So, hey dog, it's time to go to the vet. Go to the vet. Oh, shall we have a look at the dog? Yes, have a look at the dog. Oh, yes, it's the same exact problem. Yeah, yes, I know. I could work that one out for myself. And I didn't go to university for 8 years. Okay, so we're gonna give you the eardrops. Cool. I think we're all on the same page here. Could have probably done this one myself. Also, fuck. Here it comes. I'm going to prescribe you some medication. All right. He needs this bullshit made up medication because we suddenly realised that we weren't charging you enough. And that don't fly around here. So, gonna need to charge you more. In fact, tell you what, today only, one-off special, I'm going to charge you double. What do you think to that? So we're going to give him this medication, and there's that tiny bit of hope that maybe they're going to give you it, or maybe they're going to say, oh, you know, because you've brought him in and because you've done this, it's all right. It's all going to be not as much money. There's a tiny bit of hope deep inside. So I went to the desk. And I said, oh, don't forget, we need to see him back in 10 days. Cool. Because, anyone want to guess? Anybody? Bueller? Anyone? That's right, because if it's not quite cleared up the way that they want it to, he might have to go on long-term medication. So there's that. So I go to the desk. Hi, I brought my dog to see. There's now 2 medications involved. Ah, yes, sir. And we need to see you in 10 days. Yes, apparently you do. Should we get that booked in now? Let's. So they got me booked in, and then they charged me twice as much. Now, I complain when I go to the chemist and get charged an absolute fortune for medication that I need so I don't die. But when you're dealing with animals, I mean, they just pull numbers out of thin air. And I know for a fact that he doesn't need this medication. Doesn't need it. Oh, he's got to have this many tablets for these many days, and then after that many days, he's then going to reduce it down. I bet you dollars to donuts that in 10 days' time, they're going to say this phrase. Mark my words, they're going to say this phrase. It looks better, but it doesn't quite look like we'd hope it to. It's not quite cleared up. But the tablets we prescribed are obviously doing their job. So we should get on those tablets straight away. Make sure we're having more of those tablets. And then I think we'll put him on that permanent medication. And you know something? At that point in time, I'm going to say, you guys have been taking the piss out of me non-stop. Every time I deal with you, it's something different. And you're taking the piss. And now you're just bending me over and putting the sandpaper dildo in the freezer before I get here. So yes, I walked out of the vet with an empty bank account, medication which I can guarantee you the dog doesn't need. Because as I said, we've worked out what's been causing the freaking ear infection. Speaking of the dog and things that I feel absolutely fucking awful about, you know, the thing with the car park, it all ties back together. So, the other day, so they said like there might be some side effects with the medication, but the list of side effects they gave me were all like, oh, you might need to drink more and you might want to eat more. Discovered a different side effect. So the other day, let him out of his den and went about the day. Gets to lunchtime, and the rule in this house is if somebody's eating at the dinner table, then you, sir, are to go on your bed. So I was like, oh, go on your bed. And he was like, no. I was like, oh, this again. Like, he's been a bit stubborn with going on his bed. It's an age thing, so on and so forth. Go on your bed. No. You need to go on your bed. I will not do that, sir. And it got worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And he just would not go on his bed. I'm like, this is absolutely ridiculous. And I got him to go in. And I was like, you have to be in there. And then he just came straight back out. And this was this massive ongoing battle between me and him. So in the end, I put him in and I shut the door. I was like, you need to be in there. And he pushed the door open. And I'm like, what exactly is this? So I was like, you need to be in there. And I put him in. I shut the door and I put the latch on. It's like, you be in there. You know the rules in this house. Which he does. He just sometimes pushes him, pushes the rules. So then he starts kicking off, crying. And I'm like, you know the rules. You have to be on your bed. Why has this become such an issue for you? All of this. The meal finishes. Let him out of his bed. That's that. For the entire day, he's just like, the den's evil. I don't want to go in there. The den's evil. Okay. Fast forward to tea time. Right, you need to go on your bed. I will not do that. I'm not going through this with you again. I don't. I know that you're a little bit poorly, and I know that your age is a factor. But if I say you go on your bed, you have to go on your bed. What is the problem? So I go over and I'm like, you need to go in. But this time he's looking at it like there's some like there's a goblin in there. Or like there's like a monster, and he's like looking in a particular corner, and he's like, it's bad news in there, boss. I don't want to go in there, it's bad. And I'm like, what? What is the problem? What is in there? And then I'm like, wait a minute, what if there is something in there? What if things start running through my mind. I was like, what if there's like a big spider in there? I was like, he would just eat it. Unless it was like bigger than him, which I'm pretty sure we'd have seen. And after a while, the way he started looking in there, and it was like, it was this particular corner, I was like, oh my God, is it a ghost? No, it can't be a ghost because they're not real. Is it goblin? Could be a goblin. I'm like, what? And then I started thinking, what if it's like a small creature? And then I'm like, have the cats been in? The cats go in the room when he's not there. When he goes on a walk, they have a wander around. It's one of those things. It's like, but they've been doing this the entire time he's been here. There's something not right. What's the deal in the den? Did anybody work it out? Because somebody, a dog owner perhaps, probably worked out the problem. Because the clue was when I said, apparently there are other side effects. And apparently one of those side effects is sometimes you have a little accident. Sometimes you have a little accident in your bed. Not a toozy, no. You'd know if it was a toozy, obviously. A little wee accident. His bed was wet. And it's like, what the hell? Couldn't even work out when it had happened. Thought that it was potentially in like a 20-minute time slot. Because between Leanne coming down and coming in and saying that his bed was fine and it was perfectly made, and me coming down and coming in and saying, what the hell have you done to your bed? There was like not even 20 minutes. But that was in the morning. And then I had the flashback to lunchtime. And I was like, oh my God. I made him go in his bed. His bed was wet. He didn't want to go in. I thought he was just being a difficult teenager. Then I shut the door and I just felt awful. I was mortified. I couldn't apologise to him enough. Got all the stuff out of the bed, put it all in the wash, made him a new bed up, like blankets, loads of blankets and stuff. I just kept saying to him, I was like, I'm so sorry, I didn't realise. Obviously, one of those situations, should have checked. But this is a dog who's been house trained since the first week. Barring the odd accident here and there, and my sister's sofa, brand new sofa, but he's been house trained since week 1. And he'd had an accident. And I think it was a side effect of the tablets. I've been checking on him more, been letting him out more, and he has been going to the toilet a hell of a lot more, both 1s and 2s. But I felt so bad, and honestly, I like talking about it now. I'm mortified. He'd come like that evening. He laid with me on the sofa, and I just stroked him. Just stroked his side all night. Just stroked his head. Just stroked him. And every now and then I'd just say, I'm really sorry. Honestly, there are these aspects and these issues that I have with the fact of having a dog and owning a dog. And I never signed up for any of this. I just wanted like a mate. Like, man's best friend. That's what I was looking for. Not, he's still a puppy, and I'm like, I'm never going to be able to deal with when he's not here anymore. I'll never be able to deal with it. Why the hell have I done this to myself and others? Because I'm just like, it's things like that, and I think about it all the time. Like, why have I done this? And then this situation, and I carry this with me now all the time. I like to link things together. How I did the whole car park incident, dog in his bed. How those two things link together. Something else that links together. Do you remember how I said I went to Tim Hortons and I bought donuts and I brought them home and I ate them? And I was having a bit of I'm tired of not losing any weight. So there was a part of me that was like, do you know something? Even if I put some weight on, it might be, at least it's different. At least it's not losing any weight. Here we go. Something that I've been doing. Something that's a bit of a thing. Let's do the weekly roundup. Come on, you. Right, here we go. Weekly summary. Oh, this fucking thing. I had to get a protective case for the watch because of the dog. Because the dog likes to scratch stuff. Like why my phone, the protective case on my phone is all scratched to shit. Right. Last week you beat your calories. No shit, Sherlock. Every day. I burnt last week 13,616 calories. I did 126,539 steps, which is a distance of 59.10 miles. I had an active time of 17 hours and 7 minutes. So, the bets were this. Had I, A, put weight on? Now, let's face it, I ate some donuts. And then I ate some more donuts. So that's high up there on the list of possibilities. Had I not put weight on, but also not lost any weight? Well, for the 2 weeks previous, that's the situation. So slim chance of that, unlikely. What's even slimmer is, did I lose weight? Is there some weird thing that said that by eating a load of donuts, I kicked my metabolism into high gear and actually managed to lose some freaking weight? I'll give you a second whilst I take a drink. There we go. I'm getting a drink. Think about your answers. Delicious water. So, ladies and gentlemen, at this point in time, I officially weigh the least I have weighed in over 2 years. Because I lost 2 pounds this week. And if anybody can work that one out, I'm all ears. Part of me's pleased, part of me's weirded out, part of me is trying. I've been trying to rationalise it all day. Like I said, maybe I kicked my metabolism into gear because my body knows that on a morning it's going to get either eggs or sausages. Lunchtime every day is the same. It's crisp breads with hummus and Philadelphia and corn, stuff like that. And then tea is salad with corn of some description, maybe some rice every now and then. And then, even though it's October, I like an ice pop. My body knows what's coming before it even gets there. Maybe that's part of the problem. Maybe that's why I'm not losing any weight. Maybe I needed some big fat juicy donuts to kick things into gear so that when I'm running, walking, doing whatever 5 times a day, that's not an exaggeration. And when I'm lifting weights, big heavy weights, not that big and not that heavy, but hey, maybe I needed something to kick things back into gear. Or maybe the scales are broken. Although we know that's not true because I bought some new ones and they weighed exactly the same, so I sent them back. Anywho, whatever the reason, I officially weigh the least amount I've weighed in over 2 years. I can only say it's over 2 years because that's I've only recorded my weight for this year and last year and kept hold of them. I'm not down to my fighting weight, still a ways off. I've got a couple of stone to shed to get down to my fighting weight. If anybody's wondering what I mean by fighting weight, if you're a new listener, go back a few podcasts. I talk about what I mean by fighting weight. And even when I get to my fighting weight, which like I say is 2 stone away, I still need another probably 2 or 3 stone from there. So, just probably the 5 stone to lose. But did lose some weight this week, which is nothing short of a miracle in some ways, and in others, probably about right. Entertainment-wise, TV is a bit weird because I am watching TV-related stuff, but it's old stuff. I'm watching It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia and How I Met Your Mother. Nearly finished How I Met Your Mother. On series 8 now. I'm watching a lot of American football as well, so that takes up some time. Haven't gone back to Mike yet, the Mike Tyson series, but still intend to. Movie-wise, I watched a film I've seen before and a new film to me. The first one was, because it's like I said, it's October, we're trying to do a bit more of a, I was going to say spooky, but I don't mean spooky, I mean more horror-based. Horror's not super high on my list. I have a tendency to go for stuff that looks interesting. I have no interest in jump scares. I have no interest in that sort of stuff. But I am quite interested to see the latest Halloween movie. That's sort of how I rolls. Film I watched that I've seen before in a horror movie sense is the film Brightburn. If you go back probably a couple of years, I did talk about it at the time. Works on the principle, what if Superman was a bad guy? Written by a couple of the Gunn brothers and produced by James Gunn. It's got Elizabeth Banks of Scrubs, Zack and Miri Make a Porno, and she directed the second Pitch Perfect movie. I believe her latest project is Cocaine Bear, a film about a bear that has a load of cocaine. That's not a joke, by the way. Look it up. It's got Badger from Breaking Bad. It's got a kid in it who every time I see it, who plays the main character, every time I see Brightburn, I go, who's that kid? And then I'll look him up and find that he was in Endgame, when they try and send Ant-Man, Scott Lang, back through time to test time travel. When he turns up as a kid, that's the kid from Brightburn. Anyone else of note? But yeah, it's basically, if when Clark Kent was a child, he decided to be a bad guy, what would anybody do about it? And it's got a real horror element, but it's also got that superhero element to it. Super villain, I suppose, element to it. The kid's got superpowers, and he's basically Superman. Obviously, there's no mention of things like that because it's not a licensed movie. It was good watching it again. I've only seen it once. I bought it or got it when it sort of came out to buy, and watched it at the time. I was like, yeah, it's a perfectly fine film. Watched it again to keep in with like the horror stuff. Obviously, we did Event Horizon, Brightburn this week. Do kind of wonder what we're going to do next week. I've got another film on my list, but Leon's got no interest in watching it. So, anyway, that was that. Let's talk about the film that I hadn't seen. Not necessarily a new film, but it was new to me, and that's kind of what matters in this situation. I think a little while ago I talked about watching the first of the Jack Reacher films, and I managed to get the second one cheap. I think I paid £3 for it on digital, which I was like, I'm happy to do that. I recently watched the first Jack Reacher film again. I was like, yeah, that film's fine. Obviously, we've got the whole my issues with Tom Cruise that they are. My biggest issue is that he's in films that I want to see. It makes things difficult. I watched the first one again. I was like, it's perfect time to check out the second one. And obviously ties into How I Met Your Mother, because Kobe Smulders is the other lead role in it. Something that I very quickly realised about halfway through. Something I realised when I got about halfway through the film was that I had absolutely no idea what was going on, which kind of told me what I needed to know. There's a point, I don't know if I was maybe not paying enough attention. It wasn't grabbing me like the first one did at all. Let's put it this way, I can see why there wasn't a third one. I don't know if I was paying enough attention, but there's a point where they suddenly announced that they need to find this man. Like, we need to find this guy. And I went, who the hell's that? And then they were like, we don't know where he is, but maybe we can find his wife and maybe she knows. So then they go and find this guy's wife, and the whole time I'm going, who is this guy? They find his wife. She's like, I don't know where he is. Maybe look here. Eventually, they find the guy. And then he tells a story about why he's important to the story And at that point, I was like, are they backfilling this part of the story right now? Very, very strange. I do think that it was possibly me not paying enough attention. Honestly, the film felt like a bit of a step backwards. Some of the elements of the first one that made it work was kind of how slick it was. And the elements that didn't really make the second one work was that all seemed to have disappeared between the first and the second. The main kind of bad guy was just annoying. I could see what they were trying to do with the bad guy, but he was just annoying. And I don't think that's what they were going for. And I did wonder if this was the film that kind of really brought to light the whole, in Tom Cruise films, there's a lot of running. Because, oh my word, I think if somebody went and reviewed like certain elements of that film, probably 30% of that film is running. It was super noticeable. Like, oh, they're running again. That's a surprise. Just strange. There was things like, this is not a spoiler because I'm not going to say what it is, but there's a bit at the end where they were trying to work something out, and I was like, I mean, it's pretty obvious where that item has come from, what the solution, but it was like this big mystery. It's like, it's not really a mystery if it's super obvious. And then they revealed the twist, and the twist was that super obvious thing that I mentioned. It was like, what are we trying to do here? I'm kind of annoyed that I bought it now. Because now I'm like, what the freaking hell am I going to do with this? Luckily it's digital, so it's not taking up any space. So, you know, every cloud and all that. Games. I'm playing a new game and an old game. See a pattern here. New game, I think I mentioned it last week. I bought Shadow Warrior 3. Managed to get a bit of wheeler dealer going on. It was cheap, and then I got it cheaper by doing a bit of monkey magic. I did talk about it because I said it was Diet Doom, which it is. There are elements of the game where it's a bit like there are issues with the way the game plays, which cause frustration. Like if you do a jump and you miss the jump, but then you fall, but then you get stuck. It's like, I mean, just let me fall so I can restart. You know, that kind of thing. And sometimes when you make a jump and you've done everything right to make the jump, but then you miss it and you fall, it's like, I did everything right there. Just because you're not coded properly, don't blame me. Other than that, there's a lot I like about it. Something that I realised from back in the days of playing Arizona Sunshine, I like a game that's got kind of like a funny narration, which is the thing that really stands out about Arizona Sunshine. It's probably the real, other than you know, shooting zombies. The guy is giving a constant narration and it's entertaining. And I know that Shadow Warrior sometimes gets criticised for this, but I kind of like it. I kind of like that funny narration that's going on. If I'm honest, it's not the main game that I'm playing. Like I say, I'm playing something else. And there are times that I feel like, oh, I should put that on to play it because, you know, I bought it, paid for it kind of thing. The other game I'm playing, which again I may have mentioned last week, is the whole fact that I got The Division 2 for £3. Second hand, but it was a special edition. So it had all these, like, you know, art cards, because that's what everybody wants. Had the codes in the box. I thought, hey, let's give those codes a whirl and see if they work. And they did, which was entertaining. Still, at this point in time, can't tell you what I got from those codes, but that was kind of cool. Not bad for £3. It is a game I've played before, and because I've played it before when I loaded it up, my previous character was just there chilling. But I started a new character, started playing through the game. There's been a couple of points where I've been playing and been like, I don't want to play this right now. Which is great to have another game to play. Jump over to Shadow Warrior, have a blast on that. The rest of the time, I had this huge issue with the First Division game. Originally, when it was released, it was great. It was like, yeah, this is cool, this is fun, this is a good game to play. However, when we got further into the game, they went, hang on a minute, people are getting through the game really quickly. Let's make it really hard. So they did an update and they made the game really hard, which made it impossible to play. And it really drove me up the wall. What they did when they released the Division 2 is they didn't do that. They made the game a lot more accessible for a lot more people. I always felt as a game it didn't really get the props it deserved. I don't remember it really blowing up huge, and I certainly can't tell you that I've heard anything of them making another one. What I can say is it's a good, solid game. I was going to say every now and then it has its issues, but I don't know, from a like a coding perspective, I can't say it's, chocked full of glitches. Every now and then there's the odd issue here and there with like placement of things. You want to put a turret down and it just falls on the floor. But, you move, you replace it, job done. It's been enjoyable. There's been this thing running through stuff recently. I need a certain thing from a game, and I can't explain to you what that is. I can't put it into words, but I know it when I find it. And at this point in time, the Division 2 is ticking that box. Whether that continues to be the case, we'll see. We'll find out further down the line. But I am happy to put it on, and I am happy to play it. Likewise with Shadow Warrior 3. One final thing about games. Recently I completed a survey. It was a survey that I would actually encourage anybody to do. It was by, I think it was Crystal Dynamics. They're asking if people want a new Legacy of Kain game. I, for one, absolutely do. So I filled in a survey. Then it asked me about filling in another survey, which I did. Towards the back end, a question popped up, and it said, name your 4 favourite games in the last 5 years. And I put 2 down, straight off the bat. It's like, this one and this one. And then I said, shit. For the life of me, I couldn't think of 2 more games. And in the end, I had to go to my game collection to see what there was actually there, to see if I could get any sort of inspiration. Admittedly, I did find one straight away and went, oh man, why didn't I think of that? Of course, that's one. So we're up to 3 of 4. Getting that 4th game in that box took me ages. At this point in time, I can tell you what the 3 were. Jedi Fallen Order, Sniper Elite 5, and Ghost of Tsushima. As for the 4th one, couldn't tell you. Could not tell you. I looked at all sorts of stuff like, Assassin's Creed Valhalla or Cyberpunk or Deathloop or, something like that. At this point in time, I can't even remember what I put down. But what it made me realise is that it really is a sad state of affairs when you struggle to fill in 4 boxes with your favourite games of the last 5 years. But it's okay, people, because the prices of games and consoles are only going up. So, big thumbs up. There we go. Bit of a roller coaster episode. Do we call them episodes? I keep wondering. I just don't know. Anyway, whilst we all ponder that question, I'll catch you guys later. So there we go. What do you think to that? Another one done. Another week gone. Another week of me. Well, who knows what I'm doing at this point in time. Going off the rails. Big thank you for listening and or watching. Big thank you to anybody that tunes into any of our podcasts. One thing before you go, if you're not a subscriber already, just click that subscribe button. Hey, look at it this way. By clicking that subscribe button, you instantly enter a competition. So, there's an incentive right there. Like, share, subscribe and comment. Drop reviews. And if you want to check out our website, it's cookiecast.com. There you can leave an email. You can send us an email. You can check out our social media links and just get to know a bit about us and stuff like that. Anyway, the choice is up to you. But until next time, I'm going to say bye and I'll see you then.
This is a Cookie Cast production.